Hello, theologisters, sisters, and misters.
Welcome to the Coven.
If you guys haven't already guessed from last week's episode, which was about the Morrigan, and I brought up mainstream religion, but I decided that that topic is so vast. I have so many questions for you and your opinions that I thought we should just turn it into like its own like three-parter with like a Reddit thrown in between.
Yeah, that seems like something that's valid.
So do you know the difference between having faith in something and a belief? A belief is like the general acceptance of the idea of something. However, faith is literally defined, and I quote, complete trust or confidence in someone or something. And I think that's really powerful because whenever people talk about religion, they say, having faith. I have a faith. And, I think it's more common for our generation to question things more. And I think that's why we don't use that word that often.
I like that you asked the question, then answer it anyway.
Yeah, sounds about right. I just find it so interesting how when people talk about religion, it really is that like you either like believe in it fully and it's like a part of your life, or you don't have enough faith, right?
That sounds about right, yeah.
And it's like, I always wondered why, like, some people in certain religions were viewed as, like, lesser than if they don't have, that same amount of, like, total, complete conviction. It's, like, really gatekeepy.
Yeah, and then people try to, like, convert them more solidly into it. Like, something like, oh, you have to go to church on Sunday every Sunday. I would die. I think I was woken up at 8 a.m. every Sunday to go to church, and I despised it, just being forced to dress up, and ugh. So polytheistic religions, the belief that there are many gods, because I work with a goddess, and I believe that there are other gods and goddesses out there as a witch that worshipped, and not everyone worships mine, and that is completely fine. I think she would be absolutely overwhelmed. So I disagree with monotheism.
Okay.
I will flat out say that, and I'll give you reasons.
So just to like recap, the idea behind monotheism is that there is literally just the one all-powerful God. So you disagree with that? I
disagree with your religion, I'm sorry.
It's not my religion. My religion is agnostic. I'm Jewish by tradition and blood.
I know. I just wanted to throw it at you.
I disagree with your general state of being.
Disagree with your life, your existence.
I disagree with your blood. Can you fix your blood? It's making me very uncomfortable.
Your blood is against my religion and my religious beliefs. Could you
Can you remove that, please?
God.
No, not God.
Sorry, gods.
Gods.
I do actually say that quite often.
Oh, really? That's funny. It's funny because I don't believe like in Christianity, like any of that. Like, as I said, I'm agnostic, but I still say Christ occasionally.
I say like Jesus fucking Christ.
I think it's because I grew up in like such a predominantly like Christian Catholic town that it was just, I always heard it. But yeah.
But I say that instead of bloody hell because my family actually hates when I say it.
Aw, but it's so British.
I know, they just hate hearing it. Okay, so why I disagree with monotheism. The one God rarely, if ever, shows themselves to their followers. Polytheistic religions have more documentation of people interacting with their gods. It's more personal. Polytheistic gods, speaking as a witch, are more human. And why would a god create us in his image as flawed beings that act nothing like he would?
That is a good point, honestly, that you bring up.
Mm-hmm.
I think some people might argue the whole like Adam and Eve getting cast out of like the garden and that. So keep that in mind. But it is a very interesting point that you bring that up.
Oh, I don't care about the arguments. They can do debates all they want. I love debates. That's what we're here for.
I'm the voice of the audience.
Hello, audience.
Hello. I have to constantly come up with the counter arguments before they do.
Yeah, which is fine. I'm not offended by anything.
How dare you?
Opinions.
How dare you not be offended? I'm offended that you're not offended.
Fuck off.
Continue.
Okay. Most pantheons' deities feel and act like humans would, but with power.
Mm-hmm.
They feel emotions, act out, etc. It's more reasonable to believe that beings who create humans would resemble them in that way. Of course, different pantheons have different creation stories, so I won't list specific ones.
Right.
They're fallible, powerful, but not perfect. Not to mention they don't punish people who don't believe. They understand not everyone shares the same beliefs and don't hold that against them.
Huh.
Why a powerful being who supposedly created beings he loved so much damn the ones who don't believe?
That is something I have been thinking about ever since, that one lady that I already told this story where she was like, you're Jewish, too bad you're going to hell. Like, if you don't accept Jesus Christ as your one true savior, you're going to hell. And, it's given me like straight up existential crises sometimes where I'm like, because like not only that, but like even my ex at one point was like, one day you're going to have to convert if you don't want to go to hell. No joke. Seriously happened. And I had an actual existential crisis. And they were like, I have a book on it if you'd like. I shit you not. This was during college.
What the heck?
Yeah. And I actually, at one point, it gave me such a severe existential crisis that I wound up calling a mental health hotline.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
It's all right. We're over it now, but it's important that you bring that up because it's such a damaging mindset. And I'm glad I've come out on the other side. But like as a Jew, someone who was born a Jew, whether or not, I, subscribe to the faith, these people can be relentless in making you like dread your existence. And if everything is leading up to the afterlife and the afterlife is apparently endless in their minds because they don't believe in like reincarnation or anything like that you're just like screwed just for existing.
And after all, he made them that way, didn't he?
Right.
It doesn't make sense for a being to purposefully damn his beloved creatures who can be the nicest beings ever on purpose. Unless, of course, the belief is that humans are nothing but pawns in the eye of a higher power, nothing more than a game. And that can get even deeper.
Yeah, that's also been something. I know a lot of people had made like jokes like, oh, what if we're all just like God's like science experiment that he's gonna get like a C- on? I've heard that one before. Or like, what if we're all in a simulation? Or what if we're just Sims?
Honestly, I'd like to just be a sim.
So you can wahoo or whatever.
Excuse you, it's called woohoo, you
Sorry,
uncultured
woohoo.
swine.
I never played Sims, and that's one reason.
Subscribe to our Patreon to have Emma play The Sims.
Okay, if you guys subscribe to Patreon, I would totally hop on a stream and play Sims for you guys. I would do that in a heartbeat. I shall become God.
I have The Sims.
We'll do it. We'll do it. We'll make each other. Oh my god, that'd be so cute. All right, sorry. Go on.
We just wind up like killing each other.
No.
I'll have to get like the witchcraft mod and stuff.
Oh my god.
I want to say, my belief is this. Your belief can be anything. But again, I'm also not religious. I'm actually spiritual.
Actually, can you explain the distinction between the two?
Religion, or rather believing in one god or even multiple gods, is, for religion, you have to kind of take the actions of those religions. So
like a mob mentality.
Yeah, the mob mentality. Getting more specific. I really just kind of go with the flow. I'm more of a heathen witch, so I don't follow all of the specifics. Yeah, the specific guidelines that you would normally follow if you were Wiccan or pagan in the traditional sense.
Sure. So basically what you're saying is that like so being religious is like here are the tenets of said religion. If you want to be considered a part of that religion, this is what you need to do. And
Yes.
then this just being spiritual is more so like knowing that there is a higher power, believing in some kind of thing beyond our perceived reality, but not subscribing to a specific mob mentality.
Yes.
Cool. Glad I understand.
And part of my spirituality is actually a belief that you could chalk up to a religion. I know that some people believe this.
You can make a religion out of anything. That's why cults exist.
Are we a cult?
No, but we could become one.
Yes.
So the beginning, after I say my intro, you'll say "Welcome to the cult."
Welcome to the cult. So for me,
Mm-hmm.
I believe that I tend to see this little, well, in my mind, not physically,
Mm-hmm.
I see a little ball of light that signifies everything that has a soul, and then a small line that connects each dot together,
Mm-hmm.
so that everything in this world is connected, every soul is connected. Whether or not I appreciate some of these souls in the humans is entirely different.
Valid.
But I see them as all connected, and even things such as trees,
Mm-hmm.
anything that is living, the grass, the trees, the mushrooms, some deer is usually what I think of first.
Something that can grow.
Yes, something that can grow, or, just something that feels like it has a soul. Mostly I tend to see it in animals rather than things like fungi, but
So you bring up how the way that you see gods and goddesses, due to being more polytheistic, is that they're like human. They're not perfect beings, right?
Yes.
Okay, so I think anybody's question would be, especially like the people that lean more on like the atheist side of things, is where do they exist? Are they like, just chilling in a separate realm? Are they like here but invisible? Like, how are they manifested? What tangibly is a god or goddess? Because as you said, like they have emotions. You speak to the Morrigan. There's a give and a take. So like how, in your opinion, do gods and goddesses like manifest in our world? Or
They
who
come
or
to your
what are
house as well.
so what are they in a physical sense?
In a physical sense, it feels more like a very strong energy has just entered your vicinity.
Okay.
They tend to not stay for too long. The Morrigan has shown up in my vicinity 3 times. She doesn't visit very often.
Mm-hmm.
I believe she's just busy. But as for places that they live, there
Yeah.
might be a realm. I have never asked. But I do know that the Morrigan actually has a place that she is known to have stayed, which is the Cave of Cats. Would be
Oh, I want to live there.
that is the location that is associated with her, and you can actually go there and tour it and visit it a little bit if you would like. It is in Ireland.
Are there cats, and is there a cat cafe directly next to it called the same thing?
No, that would be disrespectful to her.
Damn. Because that would make a great cat cafe.
You cannot just put a cat cafe on religious grounds.
I said next to. I didn't say there. I said next to.
This is a horrible place for a cat cafe. I do not know if there are cats in this
cave. I wonder how it got
cave.
its name.
The Morrigan is associated with cats.
As well as crows, ravens.
The Morrigan is associated with scavenger birds like crows, ravens, vultures. She's associated with eels, wolves, cows, and horses. And the reason for these things is likely because she is also known as, well, she's actually known as both one whole goddess created out of all 3 goddesses, and she's known as 3 goddesses. You can choose to believe in the one, or you can choose to believe all 3. I tend to just worship the one. It's a lot easier.
Question.
Mm-hmm.
So when you say that, like, is it that she's like 3 in 1 in a sense? Like 3 sub the Morrigans?
It's 3 sisters in one.
And together they create the Morrigan.
Yes, for me anyway. Other people have their preference of worshipping all three sisters separately. Both are fine and respected and accepted.
Okay, this is such a dumb comparison in terms of like how they exist, but like correct me if I'm wrong. You're going to hate this. But like the creator mode in Minecraft where
Yes.
like you're not actually playing Minecraft, you're just building shit and you can like
Yeah.
fly around and float and go fucking wherever.
Yes.
Is that how you view gods and goddesses?
Not at all.
Because that's what I picture when you say like, oh, well, sometimes she's here and sometimes she's there, and oh, she visited me. Like, is just like they're the invisible creator who just sort of flies around.
She wouldn't physically interact with an item.
No, but I mean like that idea of just like floating around and going wherever the hell you want.
I mean, I suppose she could. It feels more magical than that, though.
I guess I have a hard time wrapping my head around what that could mean.
Well, I mean, you're not spiritual at all or working with witchcraft in any sense.
Valid. I don't know.
It's difficult to explain.
I always try to find some kind of analogy, something that I can relate it to. And so like for you to just say like, "Oh, it's more magical than that." Like, "Oh, yeah, she comes to visit." Like that's I need to know what you mean.
Okay, you know the ability in Minecraft to teleport?
Yes.
It's more like that.
Oh, okay. Sure.
Except it's not, full out teleportation. She just kind of comes in and out as she pleases. She might be teleporting. I don't know. She's a goddess.
But like what
I don't ask her.
But what does that mean?
I don't ask her these things, so I wouldn't know.
I mean, sure.
I'm sure another witch would know.
Well, get them on here.
Mom!
Mom, I need you on the podcast.
It is 9 p.m. where she is.
No, we're not bothering her. One of these days, though, we should call her and put her on speakerphone.
I mean, I'm not opposed to it if she's not opposed to it, which she probably isn't.
We should have like a mini set where like we just like phone your mom and like ask her questions if she's down for it. But so I'm just thinking, like, I know that the Morrigan, she like finds, like people that she considers lost and takes them in. It makes me wonder, like, what about other gods and goddesses? And like, how many are there?
Oh, don't ask that question. I can't answer that. And it depends on what pantheons you're looking through. If you're looking through Greek, if you're looking through Celtic, if you're looking through, goodness gracious, Egyptian, there's just a lot. And you can work with more than one god or goddess as well. And sometimes it's hard to figure out which god or goddess is choosing you. So usually people ask other witches if they are unsure.
So since you could, if you were able to work with more than one god or goddess, does it have to be in the same pantheon? If you work with the Morrigan, does the other god or goddess have to be another Celtic god or goddess?
No, because I know somebody who works with the Morrigan as well as Loki, which is insanity. I don't know how you handle that.
So are witches that, work with gods or goddesses, are they all, like, are you guys all under, like, the same belief that whatever god and goddess has ever been denoted in, like, religious history is fair game? Like, they're all there. Like, Zeus? Yeah. Are they all there?
Yes.
Huh. So, like, why do you think it's so specific to location?
It's
like,
not?
When these religions
I don't live in Ireland.
No, but when the religions were created, when all of the Celtic gods and goddesses were created, nobody was talking about the Morrigan in Greece. And why is that? Is it that she has a different name there?
No, I believe that they wouldn't have known about her because nobody was worshipping her nobody was worshipping her there because she was more focused on her current area and getting her name out there and getting her like dealing with the issues in Ireland. And there was no means of communication between the two countries, etc.
So, in that case, the idea of the one true God, the monotheistic God, being the prevailing God of the entire world, that idea. Throw that out the window. These gods and goddesses don't, at least when they were first being discovered or worshipped, they chose a specific area of the world and chose like a specific group of people to reveal themselves to, right? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Interesting. And I think the reason why that's so hard for me to like wrap my head around is because even though I wasn't brought up religious, I was just taught, from a young age about like the idea of, just the one true God that, prevails over the entirety of the earth. But I have one more question before we wrap up. Do you think what people believe to be the one true God, do you think that because all of the stories started in Jerusalem, that one true God was only for that part of the world and then people just spread it like wildfire?
It's a possibility if that one true God is real.
Do you doubt that?
I do. And the reason that I doubt that is because, unlike the gods and goddesses that witches tend to interact with, that god does not interact. And it's funny because when people become witches, they're shocked that they suddenly get some form of reaction. And they're like excited. And I'm like, yep. Welcome to witchcraft.
But since you said earlier that like the Morrigan would get overwhelmed if, everybody worshipped her. That's the idea that you hold. That's
an assumption.
Right. I'm not saying that it's fact, but since you believe in that, idea, do you then think that if I'm just saying the one true God because I don't know what else to call that the one true God who revealed themselves in Israel, in Jerusalem, in Egypt to, the Jews, all of that. Do you think that because of Christianity spreading, that the one true God became overwhelmed and that's why they're so unresponsive? Because if you look at the old stories, I mean, I can't tell you, every year I celebrate Passover. We talk about all of the miracles that God, performed and how real they sounded. He parted the seas. Like that's big.
You know what? No, redacted. I'm taking away the idea that they would be overwhelmed because I just remembered Apollo and how obsessively large his following can be and is. I have seen so many people who worship Apollo and
but you have to admit the amount of people that worship Apollo, just in terms of numbers, because again of how religion spreads, you hear every other person on the street talk about the one true God, talk about, Jesus and that religion. I have never once heard a single person outside of like a witch spiritual space talk about Apollo.
Let me tell you why.
Why?
Because people don't want to outright say that they are a witch because it wasn't accepted until very recently. And you know that because we went to the Witch Museum and we learnt about it. They're afraid.
I have to do a quick Google. I have to look this up. How many people believe in God? Just like when you say God, right? 68% of the unaffiliated expressed belief in God out of the whole US population. 68% of people that aren't even religious believe in God. Now think about all of the people that are devoutly religious, praying to him day in and day out. I mean, sure, Apollo can be extremely popular. And if you talk about it like that, I'm sure Apollo has easily like quadruple, if not more, the amount of followers than the Morrigan. Maybe that's just a preference thing if they really are human. But what if this was just thrust onto God and he's just like, this is too much for me? And he can't control it because people have taken and run with it?
Well, I'm sorry, but that's kind of not godlike.
It's
Gods
not.
can handle things.
But you just said that like maybe, unless if you're really like serious that the Morrigan could handle as many followers if people just started worshiping her out of nowhere. Let's say she didn't choose people, but if people just started worshiping her out of nowhere, the same amount as Apollo, she'd be cool with it, and she'd respond to all of them.
I'm sure that she would respond to all of them. Not constantly. But yes.
But
she doesn't respond to me constantly
But
either.
there are some people that are devoutly religious in Christianity or Catholicism who have gotten signs or claim to have gotten signs from God. And maybe just only those few people are the ones that God chooses to reveal themselves to the most often. I mean, I'm trying to follow the same logic that if you believe that all gods that have ever been denoted exist, then why can't this God exist? And the reason why he's so unresponsive is because everybody fucking believes in him and is praying to him and is asking for things. When people say, please God, I need this, they're not talking to the Celtic gods. They're not talking to the Greek gods, you know? Think about all the times people have, please God, let me pass this test. Please God, I need to get through the surgery. Like, think about all the times people are constantly praying to him.
But he could choose one person.
And what if he has?
And he doesn't. I hear about that so little.
But what about the Pope? What about the priests? Like, what if they're the ones? What about rabbis? Like,
I don't hear anything from them.
Maybe they just don't like talking to you.
Maybe they don't, and that's fine. I don't give a shit.
I feel the need to ask this just because I'm trying to follow your logic, and if that's, how you feel about every other god, then why can't the one true God exist? And just he isn't the only one, but the majority of the population of America and Europe, and I believe, don't hold me to this, but I believe like most Spanish countries, definitely like Puerto Rico, like think of like the population of Europe and America alone. Then think about the percentage of that population that believes in the Christian/Jewish God.
I'm not going to say that God can't exist, but I will say that God is incredibly flawed if they exist.
You have every right to say that.
Because the difference between gods that witches worship versus that particular god is the documentation of the miracles and interactions with the gods that are worshipped by witches as opposed to the more popular god that we are currently talking about is phenomenally different.
Let me know if in your circle or when you're like scrolling through like witch talk, if you ever see anyone say that they worship and follow and like work with the Christian Jewish God. I need to know. And if I am throwing all disbelief out the window, then who's to say that the Christian God, because Catholicism and Christianity, because people are flawed, it blew up. Everybody was like, if you don't believe in this, you're going to go to hell. I want to talk more about that actually in another episode. I think next episode, we're going to focus on maybe some other aspects of gods and religions. And then for the third part, I think we're going to focus on your belief in the afterlife.
Okay.
So with that, I have to cut us off because this is getting intense. I hope you guys enjoyed listening. Don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, comment, all of it. We want to hear your thoughts. I've never thought of it like this before. And if that's the case, I mean, that's huge. I want to learn more about that. If anybody has any experiences like where they felt that they were specifically like chosen the same way that you were chosen by the Morrigan, by the Christian Catholic Jewish God.
I didn't ask to be chosen.
If anybody else that maybe is listening in has experienced that, please let us know. Again, link to our Discord server where you can discuss directly with us right there in the description. We love you guys and stay spooky.
Bye.